All right, I think we are live. Hi, everyone. Happy Monday and welcome to the CEO's Conversation. This is the first of this type of episode. I am so thrilled and pleased to have with me the virtual CFO here for the CEO's Conversation. Welcome, Andrea. I'm so happy to have you here with me. Say hi before I introduce you.
Hello, everybody. I am so happy to be here to have this very important conversation with the CEO.
Lovely. So if this is the first time you are looking on, my name is Dana Haysberg, also known as the Vision Builder. I'm a business strategist, business coach, and an international speaker. And I am highly motivated by helping entrepreneurs and small business owners to refine their business model so that they can pay themselves more, have a platform for growth, and be able to finally have a business that allows them to live their ideal life design. And when we have this CEO conversation, the goal is always to help micro business owners, that's business who are just 1 to 5 of you in your business, to start thinking more strategically. And as I often say, applying big business strategies so that you can make big business bucks, right? And a key part of having that conversation is the financial part of the conversation. And I found it, it's thank God for connecting with Andrea, because it's really important to have somebody connected with you who understands the importance of structure, even if you are just starting out or even if you have a small business. And that's where Andrea comes in. Andrea is the virtual CFO. And if you have to build a strong, profitable business, you need to get the money together. Listen, otherwise it's a real expensive hobby. Otherwise it's just fun and games. So I would love to introduce you to Andrea Ragoo. She is the virtual CFO. She has over 18 years of experience in the accounting field. She's a certified accountant, and now she is helping micro business owners to get it together with your money.
Definitely. I like that talk track.
Yeah, get it together. Get it together. So, Andrea, is there anything that I missed there that you would like to share with the audience about yourself?
So I am the virtual CFO. As Dana said, I help you navigate your financial journey, and I just overall, help you get it together and make better financial decisions for your business that is all driven towards profitability and sustainability. I have a deep set passion for helping micro entrepreneurs, especially because I believe entrepreneurship is such a valuable resource in our whole economy, in our whole ecosystem. And, I really want entrepreneurs to see that success. And I recognize that you can have the best business idea, but if you don't have the finance to back it up, that's it, lock up shop, right? And that's where I guess conversations like what you have and what I have is really important, so that business owners could tie everything together and bring the two worlds together, the CEO world and the CFO world, to really manage their business better.
And to make your business a business. I'll be honest, we very often have a hard time moving from this idea, this thing that you're playing around with, just this thing that you're just busy doing, to actually making a business. There is a fundamental principle in business studies that your business operates as an entity in and of itself, separate and apart from you. And the trick or the challenge, I think, of entrepreneurship or getting in that early stage of business is that you never give your baby, that's your business, a life of its own. We have it just attached to us like a limb, but really what you need to be building is a baby that has its own organs, that has its own sense of self, that has its own identity and can grow. So I think that's, and a big part of one of those major organs right there is your money.
Correct. I mean, what you're saying there is so key to my own methodology what I want to promote with business owners and help teach them. Your business, you have to take your business from a liability to an asset.
Absolutely.
When a business is now starting. And I mean, you kind of use the baby analogy. You have to do everything for it. You're working on it. It uses up a lot of resources and with probably not giving you much return. But what you want to do is with enough structure and systems and strategy, you could take it from that to actually an asset that is now giving you, the business owner, back returns. So rather than just working in your business and being busy doing your business, you actually have an asset that is giving you back some returns in the long run. So
I love that. And, as you said that, right? Because, of course, I'm a mommy of two, right? So I have a 4-year-old and an 8-year-old. And it's like with my daughter who's 8, when she was younger, we have like pancake Saturdays. So we started making pancakes together on a Saturday. And then one good Saturday, Andrea, I woke up and the child was making pancakes all by herself. The recipe was complete. All she was waiting for is for us to turn on the stove, and then she did the rest by herself. So I like that analogy. Your business grows up and it feeds you.
Correct. It has to give you back something. It has to give you back something, or else you're just spinning top in mud, right? So
yeah.
We really want to take businesses from a liability to an asset. Because I mean, we all know what liabilities are. There are things that use up resources, things that you have to constantly pay. But no, you don't always want to be in that position. You want to have a business as an asset that's truly helping you grow.
Absolutely. So that's why we're having this conversation. This is just a preamble, guys. If you are looking on live, say hi in the comments. I am checking down here. But this is why I'm so happy that you've decided to partner with me on this. And every third Monday, guys, the Virtual CFO is going to be here to talk that money conversation. And today we're going to start with the basics. And I want to start with a conversation starter. And Andrea, this is a new thing that I'm doing because I recognize the one thing that I want is to have a conversation starter that kind of helps people to see their own self, or to look at their own business, to also feel that they're not alone. Because sometimes on these internet streets, everybody killing it. Everybody looks amazing. We out here looking at the highlight reels of everybody.
Filter all the way.
Girl, listen, so you are probably there in your business feeling the struggle and like, oh, it's me alone. So I feel like when we use conversation starters, and this is why I'm going to start doing it all the time, it helps others, it helps to humanize the conversation. And this conversation starter is actually someone who is a client of mine, she's completed her coaching, but she's still a client. And when she came to me, it was in the height of the pandemic. She had her last event under her business. Events is not her core business, but she does have events as part of her business and part of her lead generation and that sort of thing. At that point, she came to me, she had done an event, and she was saying that she thinks the event really went really well. But she came to me because when she looks at her business every single month, she's not really making any money. Like, she can't pay bills from her business. None of that was happening. And she said to me, well, the event was wonderful. And I said, cool, how much money did you make from the event? And she went silent. And then eventually she said, well, I didn't make any money. I said, but then how was the event successful? She said, well, I let people come and people know more about me, and people said they had a good time. And I had to say to her at that point, yes, they had a good time, but from a business perspective, that did not make any financial or business sense. Because now they went away, nobody bought any products. So not only did you give them the free ticket, nobody bought any products. It did not increase your sales. In fact, you don't even know what your sales levels are. And that was the beginning of us starting to reframe and rebuild her business. So this is the situation. What automatically stands out to you, Andrea?
Well, honestly, what stood out to me there, I think she had a wedding, right? I think she had a wedding, because to me, that is the only type of event where people come, they eat your food, they have a good old time, and you get nothing back in return. Well, but even then, you with weddings, you might get back a gift, right? But I mean, what was that? So immediately my mind went to, no, that event was not a success. I will not call it a success, right? Because you deliberately set out to well, what did you set out to achieve is the first thing, right? Now, the thing about it is that the event must give you back something. We're not putting out these things there. We're not a charity. Your business is not a charity. So every decision that you make has to be very intentional, and intentional from all angles. It has to be intentional from a marketing perspective. It has to be intentional from a finance perspective. It has to be intentional from sales. Everybody has to be intentional. And when it comes to the finance in particular, you have to be very clear as to what you were intending to get back from it. Now, I have no problems in having, if you say to me, well, I need to have an event, I need to make a loss because, I'm trying to achieve brand awareness, I'm trying to achieve, I have no problem with that, but you need to have it settled from the beginning. So if that was the goal, if the goal was brand awareness and maybe distribution, maybe building a network, then that's how you will count the success. But if you intended to have people pay to come to see this, and you intended to have future business, then we need to start talking some dollars and cents.
Because like you're saying for brand awareness, and I have to say, like from a strategy perspective, there are metrics for that. Like I will not count you being successful in terms of brand awareness if you cannot give me a quantifiable outcome for that as well. It's because this is where sometimes the passion, we say, well, I do it for the love of it. And this is also where individuals, because they have these challenges, say, well, I'm not doing it for the money. What? Excuse me?
Well, it's a hobby and it's a charity.
Are you living? Listen, charities make money, Andrea.
I have a charity, I have a nonprofit, and we have financial goals that we try to hit because we need money.
You need money, okay? So, money answers all things. So we have to be, even if you are saying it's for brand awareness, if you can't tell me that from this amount of people saw me, or this amount of people are on my mailing list, or this amount of people have contacted me or followed me here, then you also don't have those metrics. So this is where we now need to have a conversation. For those of you who are on live or looking at the replay, what is the financial plan? And today, that is where we're going to start. We want to look at three basic considerations that you need to make as it relates to financial planning for your business. And I want to say this as a very important caveat and also as a caution. The truth is that we are in unprecedented economic times. Andrea hasn't lived through it. I have not lived through it. Many people in the generation before us have not lived through it to this extent. When you look at the economic outlooks, we have interest rates in the US that have not been that high before. Mortgage rates have gone up. You have inflation rates are really coming. They're comparing the inflation rates of now to inflation rates of the Great Depression. And I do know that we are a mindset culture, and we're all like, yeah, if you keep your mindset right, opportunities will come. But your mindset can only get right with the right information. Because you can't mindset your way through making your business successful in this time. You have to have that positive mindset, 100% agree, but you also need know-how. And one of the things that I understand is that when you start a business, oftentimes you don't have the know-how. So today's CEO conversation with the CFO is to talk about what are the basics that you want to consider when you are planning for your business. And I will jump in first, Andrea, and then we'll continue. My first basic is you need to know your business model. Listen, a business model is the way through which you bring income into your business and the ways through which you serve your clientele at a particular position in the market. This is more than just what your product or service is. Some of you all have built entire businesses off a type of product or a type of service. And if that ever goes out of style or becomes passé, your business is over. A big part of having a good business model is your positioning in the market. Positioning is critical because however you choose to pivot to serve the needs of your client, they will not have a hard time seeing you in that product or in that service. They will not have a hard time understanding what you are doing because you are clear in their mind as a solution to a problem. I'm a solution to your business strategy problem and the fact that your business is not working. Andrea is a clear solution for your financial needs in your business, not just your accounts, because she's not just an accountant. She is there in terms of helping you to build financial competence in your business. However, we choose to deliver that. If next year, we can't do virtual because all the virtual mash up, right?
I'll still be a CFO.
Exactly. She can say, well, I'll come into your business. It's not going to rock her client base. It's not going to rock her following. It's not going to rock her brand because there's a clear positioning. Some of you all need to be clear on your positioning. So the first thing you need in building a financial plan for your business is to understand your business model. What are you building and what will you be known for? Once you start to understand that, then we can start talking how. And a big part of the how has to do with your money.
The money, correct. Because that's what I'm thinking, the business model, that's the first step. But there's every element in the business model has a dollar value, has a line straight, a direct pathway to your financial structure.
100%.
So the two has to be aligned. You're going to set up your business model, you're going to position yourself, but I'm going to be asking you, how much money do you need to do all that? How much money do you need?
Because a business model will always have a good and a complete one, has a product, a service, and a program offering. That is the basics of it. One product, one service, one business. One program. So once you have that, now we need to talk about money. We need to talk about how does that go together. So that's my first point. Your business model. What is your product, your positioning, and then your product, your service, and your program offering for that. Once we've done that, what's next, Andrea?
Oh, so what's next is we want to have a cash flow conversation, right? As a micro business, cash is king and management of the cash is queen, right? Can
you repeat that, please, Andrea? We need that in a nice, clear piece of information that people can hold on to.
So as a micro business, cash is king and management is queen. Cash is your number one resource. Until you become a business that is big enough to get access to other types of financing, maybe a loan or maybe a credit line, or even just getting credit terms from your suppliers, right? When you first start off, everything is cash on delivery. You don't just wake up, you have to build up credit. You don't just wake up and the supplier is going to give you 60 days to pay, right? So until you can reach that point, the cash that your business generates is your number one resource. So first of all, you have to be able to generate the cash, and then you have to be able to manage the cash so that that cash is available to help you meet your obligations. So your financial plan has to have an element of projecting, when am I going to get cash? When am I going to need the cash? And where am I getting it from?
Facts. 100% endorse and agree, because again, I'm just saying this on the social media streets. I have seen it particularly in my field. You see people say, oh, make 10 figures, 5 figures. Yeah, because we want to be millionaire. I made my first million. In what? Because Correct. You can have $1 million recorded in revenue and
they're all in receivables.
$1,000 only in cash in your bank
Correct.
account.
Because half of it was receivable, right? You went and made the sale and you didn't get the money because you didn't manage your cash properly. And you ended up with, you're hitting the sales, you're getting clients coming in, but you turn around and you offer them 30 or 60 days to pay, and then they didn't pay you.
Right.
So
and
see how
you go and you get a government contract because you love it so. And you all know, well, maybe you don't know. When you work with the states, you Correct. Do not get paid right away.
Correct.
For me, when I take jobs with certain corporate clients, I'm fully aware that if I'm taking this job, I have to be sure that my cash flow for everything else is in order and not dependent Correct. On this payment for 90 days.
Absolutely. That is what I advise my own clients as well. No, I'm not saying don't work with state enterprises or don't work with the government, but you have to be able to afford to work with them. meaning you have to be able to have the cash to finance you and cater for that eventual late payment or that very long credit term that they're going to want to enforce
because
on you.
90
and
days.
it is the same thing with corporate, big, major corporate entities. Actually, recently I was having a conversation with someone, with a client, and he had that experience. He was in a position where he got a really good contract with one of those conglomerates. So it's excellent, great, looks good on paper. But here's his concern. He's like, Andrea, they're going to force me to, they were going to force him to wait 60 days. There. And this is the thing, I told him, I said, it's David versus Goliath, right? Because your little business can't sustain the 2 months that you're going to have to wait till they're going to pay. No, they're a great opportunity and this is a great business. I'm not saying no, but in this situation, you're David versus Goliath, and you're going to have to put some things in place to ensure that you have cash until you could get that windfall, right?
Yeah.
That so cash management. So cash is king and management of it is queen.
And you have to have an awareness, right? And it's just to reconnect it to you also, you all don't feel like it's some completely separate things we're talking about. If you understand your business model and you get one of those contracts, you now need to look at your other part of your business model to see how can I increase what I'm doing here so that it buffers for me while I'm waiting for this influx of cash. But you cannot do that if you don't know what you're building. If every 2 days you're like, oh, I'm going to do this offer, I'm going to do that offer, I'm going to do the other offer, so that's why it works together. So when I take a contract to do something for a state enterprise, right? One time somebody actually asked me, said, can you wait to be paid because there's a process? And I said, yes. How was I able to do that? Because I knew that this is a service.
You planned for it.
On the flip side, there's money coming in from the other things that are going on. Do you know what that looks like for you?
Absolutely. And that is the key thing. You know what is going to happen. So you plan for it, you put the things in place, right? So in the case of if it is, and when we say put things in place, even if you say, well, okay, my other services may not be able to stand up to it, well, then go and seek that is where you have to look at external financing. You may have to get some stretch to your bank account, engage in some sort of overdraft facility.
Leverage what you just got as a contract.
Correct. Look at things like, maybe getting a loan as an influx of cash coming in just to keep you in that buffer. However, the caveat to that though, is with each decision that you're making, you also have to consider the cost, right? And here's a big thing. If after you do all this analysis, you cannot wait to get paid, then quite frankly, maybe you cannot afford to even do the contract.
True.
Because if it is, when you run those numbers and they're telling you, well, you have to wait 60 days and you have important things that are due within that 60 days, which you cannot get external financing for, or maybe the interest rate is too much for you to bear, maybe you don't qualify for a loan, then you are now faced at a crossroads. So you have to make that decision. Well, can I even take on this contract? It might be a good opportunity, yes, but what am I losing, right? The pros and cons, each one will always have pros and cons, and you have to look at the cost of each decision. So we're saying, yes, look at different financing, but I'm also saying, do the numbers as well. Check out to see, have a financial person run those numbers with you and say, in the long run, this is what is going to happen.
So that's your cash flow projection. So then it's linked to what's the third thing? So we have two things so far: your business model, your cash flow projections, and the third thing that they need to think about in their financial planning.
The third thing that they need to think about is that break-even point, right? Where is your break-even point? So first of all, know it. Know what that is. And what is the break-even point? The break-even point is the point at which you've made neither a loss nor a profit. So we just stalemate, right? Whatever I spent, I got back, I've made zero profit, right? So I don't know if you remember the movie called Armageddon. They had something called the zero barrier, right? Yep. That is the zero barrier of your business. After you pass that barrier, it's a slippery slope into making a loss and closing up shop, right? The break-even point has to be known. Why? Because all the decisions that we spoke about before are hinged on you maximizing that point and always taking your business above and beyond that point. You want all the decisions that you make to support your break even, not make it weak and not have you in a position where you're making loss. So if you go back to our conversation started with that client, if clearly that event where you put out all this money and you did all this thing and it didn't make anything, that break, she was in a loss-making position. She went beyond the break-even point. And if she had continued along that pathway, that would have been disastrous, right? Now, the thing about it is, when you're running a business, and like we said, sometimes you have to make decisions. Maybe you might make a decision to take a loss on something. Yeah. I understand. Strategy, yes. Sometimes from a strategic perspective, you may have to do things like that. But at least when you're doing it, do it with your eyes wide open. And okay, this is what I'm getting myself into. If I do this, I'm going to take this hit. So other things will have to compensate because this is what is happening, right? Absolutely. But if I don't know where the break-even point is, I'll be making the decision and not even realize that I've passed the point. I've passed my zero barrier and I'm going down a slippery slope, sliding all the way down into loss and locking up shop.
Because look, I can give an example just from a strategy perspective. I have a yearly planner that I produce. It's called the Vision Planner, right? The first year that I did the Vision Planner, I knew that I was doing it at break even. It was because you have your design course, your production course, your delivery course, your packaging course. When I put that all together, this was my inaugural edition of this particular product. I set the price for the minimum that I expected to sell, take all of the costs that was involved, and set the price there. So that I knew that with that minimum, those guaranteed sales, I was going to break even. But I also did it with the mindset because I was aware that this particular product was feeding into a particular program.
Correct. And feeding a part of your business model.
Feeding a particular product, which is my planning table strategy session. So I saw the planners took the break even there to get the clients for the planning table strategy session. That is how it works in a well thought out, crunch your numbers kind of process. So my husband laughed at me that year because he was like, "You're not making any money in the planners." I said, no, but don't worry.
Exactly. It's coming. I have a plan.
Because I had a planning table event. Correct. And again, that event was also that service was introductory. And I did that service as a group that year. So again, I split the cost of doing it. It was in person. I made the money from the event and I built my brand awareness. So this is an example of using the conversation starter. If you understand what you're doing, if you understand those three things, your business model, your cash flow, and your break-even point, you can use it in a smart way to build your business. But if you don't, you're just out here on these streets on a hope and a prayer.
Yeah, running a parlor. I call it running a parlor.
Running a parlor. But we're not in the business of building parlors yet. The Vision Builder and the Virtual CFO, we don't build parlors.
we build supermarkets and mega marts.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm going to see if there's anybody who is on have a question. If you do, please drop it in the comments. Andrea, you have any closing words as I wait to see if there are any questions for us?
So what I would say is the thing about running a business, there's so many hats that you have to wear. And the micro business owners that we're talking to, yes, the Mr. and Miss Solopreneur, we're talking to you, right? You have so many different hats to wear. And just because you're a solopreneur, that does not mean that you only wear one hat all the time. It means that you have to really structure your business to address the different parts of your business, finance being a main part of it. And even within finance, there's structure, there's systems, and there's strategies all within there to help you maximize your finances, right? But all these different elements of business have to come together, right? One man show, one woman show, we get it, we understand, right? In fact, I'm a one woman show. But bet your bottom dollar, I have a team behind me to say, okay, if I need access to this type of expertise, I'm calling on this person and I'm calling on that person because I realize I need the assistance. So don't be afraid, even though you're a one-man show, one-woman show, to not bring together these pieces, right? We've just talked about 3 points within the financial structure, and it's 3 of many, right? And as we continue to build this series, people, we'll see. But these 3 areas are areas that you can start almost immediately to understand what it is and start to bring them together. And even in the order in which we've addressed it, we went in our preparing for this chat, we spoke about how it was going to flow. And I'm saying, if you know your model, coming from the model, how does the cash flow support that model? And how does the break even support? Each one supports one another, right? So take the time to go through, and even if you need the assistance, this is why we have people like yourself, like myself, bring these resources in to help you fine tune, right? Because you can't do it alone. Yes, you're entrepreneur, you're a solopreneur, great. You can't do it alone. Don't be afraid to bring all these different parts of your business together, because you won't be able to take it from a liability to an asset. You won't be able to take it to that level until everything comes together.
Absolutely. So everyone who is looking on, I'm sorry, I'm this person. I like to give homework. Andrea just said it so sweetly, like a suggestion. I want to give you some homework. If you are in business, I want you to think about the 3 elements that we just mentioned to you and ask yourself this question: what is it that I feel the most lost with? Do I feel the most lost in my business model? Ask yourself, do I really know my business model? Do I feel the most lost with my cash flow projection? If you know that the only cash flow projection you've ever done was to open your bank account,
oh Lord,
ding, ding, ding.
Ding, 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 we have a problem.
Maybe
we have a problem.
Might be a beacon out there telling you, ding, ding, that might be the area. Or if you know that, honestly, I don't know the point at which I'm making a profit and a loss, that might be the area. So I want you to take a few moments. I know we're busy, we're doing what we need to do. Schedule some time this week to literally sit down and think about your business, think about your financial plan, and think about what the gap is. And if you need to, DM Andrea, DM myself, let us know what you have come up with, and perhaps we'll be able to suggest something to you. But the whole point of the CEO's conversation is so that you can go away, take actionable steps to get the results that you are looking for in your business. So I have not seen any questions so far, Andrea. So at this point, I want to thank you all for being here with us. There was a few of you on today. And I also want to encourage you to please share this with people you know who are in business. If we continue to build a community of successful entrepreneurs and business owners around us, then in that space, we will also grow and succeed because we're growing and in our knowledge together. Okay, so thank you guys so much. I will be back on next week, Monday at 12:30 p.m. for CEO Conversations on my page. And Andrea will be back with us in the month of November, the 3rd Monday in November, where we continue to talk about all things finance in our business. Thank you so much, everybody.
Bye.
Have a great one.